Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MTGO Traders. My name is Taryn, and let's talk about Mono Blue Reservoir in Dominaria Standard. So Aetherflux Reservoir has been a deck since, Kaladesh and Aether Revolt block have been in Standard, and it's just kind of gotten better over time, and now we have Dominaria with new cards, to put into this deck list, so let's talk about that right here. So first up, let's talk about our creature list. We have 4 Ornithopter and 4 Gluttonous Crane. Those are the only creatures in this list. Gluttonous Crane just going to be a great way for us to get into a Reservoir, or get into a zero-cost creature like an Ornithopter. An Ornithopter is here to get off our, multiple casting in a particular turn, for that, paradoxical outcome and Aetherflux Reservoir on the field, gaining us life, hopefully getting to 50 or plus 50, and then winning the game with 50 damage to our opponent's face. So let's move on to some new cards, though, from Dominaria, and that is Karn, Sign of Ursa, just a 2 of here. Karn is super expensive and the most expensive card in this entire deck list here. A 4-mana 5 loyalty, +1 we get to reveal the top 2 cards of our library, and opponent chooses one of them, and then put the other card into your hand, and the other into the exile with a sliver counter on it. We can -1 and get that card with the sliver counter into our hand, so if Karn does survive 2 turns, we do have a Reservoir in the exile pile. We get it with Karn. If not, we just go -2 here, which is actually an alternate win condition for us for this deck list. -2, create a 0/0 colorless artifact construct artifact creature token with. This creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. So this is a great way for us to have an alternate win condition. If opponent is more on a control heavy strategy and we get the Karn out, we just play a lot of our cheap, really cheap artifacts, make the -2 here, and make a 9/9 or even a 10/10 and swing out for game. Moving on to some regular spells here, though, we got Word of Invention, Paradoxical Outcome, some key cards in this deck list here. We don't want to have a full playset of the Aetherflux Reservoir. We want to make sure that Word of Invention is here to kind of hopefully tutor this out if we draw into it a little late or early in the game list, or get into another card as well. It also has Improvise, so make sure that you have the 3 blue mana for the War itself, and then tap artifacts for that X there to get to 4 for the Reservoir to make sure you have open mana for a Paradoxical Outcome the following turn or that turn. So great card for us as well. 4 mana, we get to return any number of target non-land permanents we control to our hand, then draw cards equal to the return cards this way. So if we have 5 artifacts we return to our hand, we get to draw an additional 5 cards and then continue to replay things out. And that's going to ultimately what has the Reservoir go up in life, or have us go up in life, to pay the 50 life to kill our opponent. Moving on here to our more spells, we have Reverse Engineer. River's Rebuke is a card here that I really like from Ixalan. A lot of people are using Baral's Expertise, but I prefer River's Rebuke thanks to it returning the enchantments off of the list, as well as, everything on their side of the field, all those token strategies, the History Benalia decks, that kind of thing. River's Rebuke really is like a key card to hopefully get to a situation where we can, bounce everything out. And if we have, the Statuary on the battlefield, which means we can have this card have Improvise, it's only 4 artifacts and 2 blue mana, and that's fine by me. Reverse Engineer is here to draw 3 cards for just 2 mana if we have, 3 artifacts on the battlefield, so another fantastic card for us overall. And let's move on to some more cards here. We're starting with our artifacts. A new card from Dominaria is Mox Amber, a 0 mana cost legendary artifact. We can tap it to add mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. The only negative here is that Karn cannot be tapped for this, or we can't use Karn to tap for colorless mana. Just won't let us do that. However, we do have legendary creatures in the sideboard to use for that, but we do have Inspiring Statuary here to hopefully use the Mox Amber for a tapping ability as well. Renegade Map is here coming in tapped, but can fetch us out a land if we need it, but also be a really cheap tapper. And Prophetic Prism is here to draw a card, tap for mana, and tap for correctional mana if we need to, but we really don't in this deck list. Inspiring Statuary here is also a fantastic card for us. A 3 mana artifact. Non-artifact spells you cast have Improvise, meaning we can use a colorless there to tap with our artifacts. So very useful for us. And the key artifact in the deck list here is, of course, Aetherflux Reservoir, a 4 mana artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you cast this turn. Pay 50 life. Aetherflux Reservoir deals 50 damage to target creature or player. So keep in mind, if I cast 1 spell, I gain 1 life. If I cast another spell on top of that, I gain 2 life because I cast 2 spells that turn, and so on and so forth. So once we get up to casting 5 spells in a turn, you're getting 5 life for 1 spell and stuff like that. So Reservoir is very useful for us at being able to get up a lot of life really quickly, and then using the Reservoir's ability, not even a tap ability, to kill our opponent directly to the face. But that is all the cards in the actual deck list here. Let's move on to our lands really quickly. We have islands, 15 of those, Ark of Araska, because that's hitting the City's Blessing is quite easy here. 1 of Adventure's Fair to hopefully get us the ability to gain some life and the upkeep, and tutor out a Reservoir if need be. 2 Scatter scavenger grounds right now because of the kind of reanimation decks going on right now, and 1 Field of Ruin to deal with a flipped Search for Azcanta or Legion's Landing. But that is it in the 60 here. Let's go into our Game 2 game plan and talk about our sideboard here really quickly. To deal with our control heavy strategy, removal heavy strategy, we have Negate, Metallic Rebuke, Pateam, Console of Invocation, and the Antiquities War, another card from Dominaria. If you're not familiar, Antiquities War is a 4-mana saga. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them, then put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So fantastic for us, basically Glintness for 2 turns, which is nice. And then Saga is, the third counter here is artifacts you control become artifact creatures with base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. So again, if opponent is like countering a lot of our Reservoir stuff in game 1, we might want to bring in Antiquities War, replacing Karn or something like that, to create a situation where all of our artifacts on the battlefield become 5/5s and we just swing out for the game that way. So a fantastic way to end out a match. Negate and Metallic Rebuke are great ways for us to counter spells in the early game, and counter spells as in like a disallow or a sell the wreckage if we are attacking out. Moving on to deal with the more aggressive strategies, we have Zahid, Djinn of the Lamp, another Dominaria card, Bastion Inventor because of Vraska's Contempt, things like that, Icy Manipulator, another Dominaria card, and Gleaming Barrier. This is from Rivals of Ixalan, a 2-mana 0/4 defender. This is here for the mono red matchup because if it does die, it still gives us an artifact, which is a treasure we can sack. A great card for us, gives us basically 2 artifacts for the price of 1. Zahid is great for us on the attack if opponent does have a lot of removal, like Abrade, things like that. And Bastion Inventor is here for those black removal strategies like Fatal Push, Vraska's Contempt, Cast Down, and the like, things just like that. An Icy Manipulator, just a great card to slow down the opponent and slow down a huge attacker like a Glorybringer or a Hazaret. But that is the full 75, guys. Let's go to the deck list here. If you want to build this on MTGO, right now it's about 80 tickets, which is not bad at all, especially with the 2 Karns involved. If you want to build this in paper, though, however, the paper price does go up quite a bit thanks to Karn Cyanoverser to almost $200 at $193. Now, take Karn out, this price drops staggeringly down to just under $100 there if you want to build that in paper, and it's only around 20 tickets as well if you want to build it without the Karn. What I would recommend in place of Karn, if you want to do that, is probably the Antiquities War from the sideboard there. But that's it for the deck tech, guys. Let's get into the actual action here and show some matches. Alright, let's see what we can do in match 1. Moving on here to our deck list here. We have a nice keep here with Renegade Maps and Ornithopter. Lots of 0 stuff, lots of mana here. So if we get a turn to Reverse Engineer, that would be fantastic. We do get a Paradoxical Outcome, so we have some fantastic stuff for that. We're up against a red-white deck here. They go with the Shock on the Ornithopter. Was not expecting that, but we still have enough here for Inspiring Statuary. So if this comes in, we have the Paradoxical Outcome. We get to bounce 4 things, draw 4 cards. Super nice. I have a tap land, so no cast out for the turn. We do the Paradoxical Outcome, having 3 mana up thanks to the Statuary there. Going for a Mox, then going for a Glintiness Crane here, grabbing a looks like a Prophetic Prism here, tapping again for a Renegade Map, and then just passing the turn. We have the War of Invention for the Reservoir if we need to grab that. If not, or if we need to grab for the drawn here, go for Reverse Engineer. They have 5 mana now. We go for a Reverse Engineer, have 3 mana, go for a Prophetic Prism, draw a card, Ornithopter off the top there, and another Renegade Map. Trying to build our board presence up a little bit more, attacking in with that Glintiness Crane just for some damage. Another land for them. They go for Hazaret's Undying Fury with a Ixalan's Binding off of the top. Crazy here. They do tap out, so that means they can untap the following turn, but they grab the Statuary there. We go Arc of Vraska, go War of Invention, and we just grabbed the Reservoir here because we have all the pieces we really need. Just need to get into a Paradoxical Outcome for the Reservoir. Get some mana, get some life off the Mox Amber there. Then go for some Renegade Maps to get them on the battlefield. Go to 39, and then Glintiness Crane attacking in, just because we can. Drop them down to 18. Now they don't untap because of the Undying Fury. They do get a land though. We go for Glintiness Crane off the draw there. Go for Inspiring Statuary. We can't play it though thanks to Binding. We do play the Prophetic Prison, have a Karn. Don't have the mana, but we can go Inspiring Statuary. Then look, oh, we can't do it because it's not on the battlefield, so that does suck. We attack in here for 1, drop them to 17, and then they do untap here, so they have lots of mana to do. They go Hazaret's Undying Fury again. Gilded Lotus, fight with fire, killing the Ornithopter, and the Glintiness Crane, and then Gilded Lotus hitting the battlefield. They have 5 mana available to them, so we're going to go with the Karn here because we can. And I go up to 33, go -2, making an 8/8, I believe, is what that is right there. Attacking in for 1 once more because we still can't get into our Paradoxical Outcome just yet. They do have 6 mana here thanks to the Gilded Lotus. They're playing on another Gilded Lotus. We go for a Arc of Vraska draw here, draw into another land, then just go -2 on Karn once again. Kind of thinking they may go for a Shock or something like that with Karn. maybe a Fight with Fire. Seal Away, grabbing that giant artifact creature there. We still do 1 point of damage, though, so not too terrible. Next turn here, they lay a land, then go for, I believe, a Fight with Fire, making sure to kill the artifact and Karn, so that's off the battlefield here. They go Siege Gang Commander, we have a land. Reverse Engineer is fantastic for us here. Drawing 3 cards, refilling our hand. Ornithopter, Paradoxical Outcomes, there is our answer for the game here. We just start selecting all the things we want to bounce, which is basically everything on the field. And just tap our 4 mana, bounce everything, then replay everything. And that should be the game there. They're all tapped out, so they can't do anything for the commander to kill any kind of creatures or ornithopters once they're cast or something like that. And there we go, that's game 1. Getting into the sideboard here, we bring in Padim because they do have some Fight with Fire stuff, that kind of thing. Taking out a Prophetic Prism, and kind of considering if we want to take out a land. I think we put it back in. We do put it back in. The deck doesn't need too many lands. We take out let's see, yeah, a Reverse Engineer for that, Padim. Actually, we take Padim out and put in those prisms back because we were like, we don't really need anything. So have a decent opening hand once again, laying a land. 2 Thopters out as soon as possible, so we have a turn 2 Reverse Engineer, which is super good for us. They play out a Knight of Grace, so a good attacker for them. So we just start to play out Reverse Engineer and draw as many cards as we possibly can. Getting in for 2 points of damage here thanks to Knight of Grace. So no lifelink for them, so that's good for us. Getting out either a Reverse Engineer or Glint, so we're just going to reverse here. And play out Mox Amber because we're dumb. They shouldn't have done that. That's a waste of a card there. Only play Mox on top of Mox if you're gaining life with a Reservoir, since the Reservoirs do mean you're stacking life. They attack in once again down to 16 here. We're going to go for a land drop. And then go for a Gluttonous Crane looking for, it looks like a map. Wanted a Reservoir off of that, but got a map instead. Should have been playing our Inspiring Statuaries, but did not just yet. Passing turn here, the Gluttonous Crane can block that 2/2, so they don't attack in. We play out our Arc. We draw our 3rd Statuary, so we go for a Statuary here. And pass turn. Now, Statuaries, keep in mind, we can use them with Improvise with River's Rebuke, making it only 2 mana, 2 blue mana. Knight of Grace there, we're going to go for a Statuary. And Statuary again because we have them forever, just in case a Ixalan's Binding does hit them. They play the land, they attack in with 1. We go with the block here thinking they may have a shock or something on top of that, but they do not, which is good for us. We just lay a land and play a Glintness. We could have gone for a Arc of Vraska there, but going for that, going for a Prophetic Prism drawing card and another Glintness Crane, so lots of good stuff going on here. Renegade map, filtering out any more lands if we need them. But we just pass the turn here with nice blockers on the field. They go for a Sunburn's Invocation. Not a big fan of that personally, so we could go for a Karn here or a River's Rebuke. We go for River's Rebuke here because we want to make sure that if Hazard's Undying Fury does go off, we want to make sure it goes off probably a turn later than normal because we have enough mana to do both Karn and the River's Rebuke. We'll make a giant artifact creature and attack in for 3 here. And then they go into the next turn here, turn 9. They just replace the Invocation once again. We go with a Glintness Crane here and grab an artifact, which we're going to grab the Reservoir as soon as possible because it was off the top there, and make another artifact, then just get in as much damage as we possibly can, dropping them down to, I believe, 1 here. Yep, they have 1 life left, and we kind of hope here that they don't have something crazy, but yet again, they have the Hazaret's Undying Fury, and the cards they grab, not too much. They do get the 4/4 here, Seal Away, the Commander, and the Lotus, so not too good for us. They do get rid of the huge artifact there that's with the Seal Away. And they have enough mana here. They have 4 mana, or 5 mana actually, for the Commander. We draw a card for a Ornithopter, going up in life here, making sure we can use the Giant Attacker. Paradoxical Outcome is on the top as well, or from the top of the card in there. We attack in with everything we can, and we actually have enough in the air to actually win the game, but they have a 4/4 life leaker, so we want to make sure that, you know, we're getting them down as quickly as we can. They block the giant creature with the 4/4 lifelinker. We're doing 4 in the air, so it would be lethal, but they sacrifice, and they sacrifice another one, I believe, yep, to kill a Gluttonous Crane. Doing 3, they go to 2 here, so they still have 1 more turn, so they're fighting as hard as they can. But they are tapped out of mana thanks to the Hazaret's Undying Fury. They still have 4 mana available, so I'm thinking of maybe a Settled Wreckage on that last attack, but since they don't have it that turn, they do have an Ixalan's Binding here, but I think that's probably going to do it since they are tapping out. We have flyers. They can't do anything else, so that's going to be the match. Let's get on to match 2 here and see what we can do. Getting out a Renegade map. They go for Evolving Wilds here. We're going to go for a Inventor's Fair and Glitness. Getting off the top, a Mox Amber, making sure we can go maybe for a turn 3, either Reverse Engineer or Paradoxical Outcomes when that happens. We draw into a War of Adventure, and they play a land. We're going to go with a Renegade map, sack, get an island, go Glitness, Crane, grab another Mox Amber, and then Renegade map once again, attacking in for 1. So lots of good synergies here, thinning out our deck really nicely, making sure we get into our artifacts as quickly as possible. Prophetic Prism, or not Prophetic Prism, Paradoxical Outcomes would have been the play that turn, but we're not seeing any kind of removal from them, so we're just going to play Karn and do their +1, hit in for 2. And then let's see if they hit their 4th land and go for a cast out, which they always do if they're on turn 4 with white. So we're going to go for a Reverse Engineer here. Get into an Aetherflux Reservoir. Really like what we have in our hand right now. We got almost the full combo. They lay another land here. Remember, they are on blue, so they have maybe, possibly, negates. They go for Out of Promise, though, and tap out completely. So we're just going to lay out the Reservoir as soon as we can and just get in for 2 here. And the next turn, have the Paradoxical Outcome ready to go. They go for Navigator's Compass, getting them 3 life each time they play it. And then Hour of Promise once again. No idea what the deck we're playing up against is, but it is interesting to say the least. We're going to go with the Paradoxical Outcome, bouncing some stuff here. A Glitness, Mox Amber, and of course the Renegade map. Drawing some cards, getting out another Mox Amber here. Statuary would be the card we want to play probably, but we're going to go with the Glitness Crane maybe. Let's see here. Actually, Renegade map, just so our mana can, our lifelink can stack here. Then Glitness Crane right off the top of that. Grabbing an Ornithopter off the top as well, going to 42, and saying, well, we have one more turn if we win this, and they don't have any answers, so they give up, and that is game 1. We bring in some negates here, bringing out the Prophetic Prism, and just hit OK. A decent hand for us here. We have to get into a land off the top. Since we are on the draw, I do risk it. And we do get a land, so 2 Ornithopters off the top there is very, very nice for us. And getting into a Glitness here is very good as well. A good blocker. Going to grab a Mox Amber off of that, getting that in. So if we get into a Reverse Engineer situation next turn, we can definitely do that. On turn 3. Scavenger Grounds into a Reverse Engineer. Could have gone Statuary there, but I think Reverse Engineer is a bit better, but they do negate it, so that is the downside to going to Reverse Engineer first, so I think that is a little unlucky for us. 3 mana here for opponent. They go Grow from the Ashes, so this is definitely a ramp deck, so red mana there, another land. Gonna go with a Aspiring Statuary and just get in for 1 point of damage here. We really need to get the Paradoxical Outcomes out so we can, they go with the Cast Out once again on that Statuary to get some stuff on the battlefield with those outcomes here. Getting out 3 Ornithopters and a Mox Amber. Lots of stuff in our hand right now. We have plenty of stuff to do with the mana next turn for War of Invention. Hour of Promise from opponent, getting 2 2/2s. We're going to go Whir here and go for the Reservoir since we have enough 0 mana cost stuff on the battlefield to get everything kind of going here. Glitness Crane coming in, grabbing a Renegade map from us. Not too bad. But once again, opponent goes for actually a Glimmer of Genius here. Was thinking they may have had a Cast Out. And then they play a land, and then they do, yes, have a Cast Out, so not too great. They attack in with both. We block 1. We do get into a River's Rebuke, which is awesome for us because it means we can go River's Rebuke as soon as there's a situation for us to bounce that and gain life with the Statuary and the Reservoir. Getting out lots of stuff here with the Paradoxical Outcome once again, and having to eventually discard an island thanks to that turn there. They lay another land here. Attack in for 2 once again. We're just going to go with a block here. Get into another Reservoir off the top, so fantastic play for us here. So we get into a Reservoir. We have a Reservoir on the other side of the field, so we want to make sure we get into a Statuary as soon as possible. And then they actually go with another Cast Out on that Reservoir, so we're still not too upset about that. We kind of expected a negate here, honestly, but they actually go with a Glimmer of Genius, so they're tapping out for that. Not upsetting to me at all. So glad that we didn't get a negated Statuary. They go with the Gifted Paradise, which really doesn't bother us that much at all. Tapping out here for, let's see, a Nicol Bolas. So that's the big hate card in their deck. We have to get rid of a, I believe, an island and a negate. I think that's an island and the Renegade map. There we go. We want to make sure River's Rebuke and the Paradoxical Outcome are in our hand. We play out a land off the top, and then we just kind of go for it right here. Going to go for a River's Rebuke off the top, tapping all of our stuff or from our hand, and bouncing all their cast outs. And then we just go Paradoxical Outcome here and go off like a madman, bouncing one of the Statuaries. All of our 0 mana cost stuff, and then we just win this game here. Super, super simple. 4 mana available to us if we need to recast things that do have mana here. Opponent giving us a GG in the chat, but we're too concerned about our actual game plan here. And that's it, -30. That's going to match 3. Now, match 3 is actually a match that is up against an energy build. We haven't really seen an energy build in a while. And the opponent does Salt Scoop. Spoilers. So, just showing this match because it's a little bit of more of an aggressive match list here. You'll notice that a lot of these matches that go against more aggressive strategies, like the Reservoir strategy, the Mono Green Stompy, that kind of thing. This is the Cub strategy right here with the energy sub-theme. A little bit harder to deal with, but we still managed to get out a win here. Reverse Engineer, getting us lots of land into our hand. Not a lot of good pieces in our opening hand here, but we had enough to go with a keep. We do have Reverse Rebuke here, which is fantastic. Getting in 3 points of damage, dropping us down to 16 from that initial Llanowar Elf. Reservoir is the play on our turn. They do have some mana up here, so they go for a Spell Pierce, which is something I don't really see in the main board on game 1. They tap in some mana here. We really wanted to try and get that Reservoir out as soon as possible, thanks to the outcome in our hand. But they have a Nissa here, so super deadly for us if they go for the -6 there. Inventor's Fair is not too bad. We're going to go with a Reverse Engineer, have 2 mana available to us, and then just go Prophetic Prism, not Paradoxical Outcome. Prophetic Prism, and discard a land there. Getting some energy here for the Cub, playing out a Hydra, then playing out Larger Than Life, trying to end the game this turn. Not sure why they didn't do the tree animation, so they would have won that turn had they done that. But they didn't, so we're down to 5 here, thanks to the Inventor's Fair gaining us life. We go for River's Rebuke, bouncing everything. They go for a Blossoming Defense. I don't think they understood how River's Rebuke worked. So, still bounced everything, but that turn they just replay their elves in the Cub. We go for a land here, go for an Ornithopter, and then we just play out the Karn here because we need a blocker as soon as possible. Thankfully, Karn has a -2. We go for the Prism as well, get into another Rebuke, so just a fantastic way for us to continue to survive until we get into our actual pieces for the game. We're there at 6. They go for the Nissa here at 7. They make the Flyers, and they try to win out the game here. We go with a block with the Ornithopter and block with the Construct on the Cub, making sure that we actually are down to 1 here, so we're still like hanging on by a thread. But we do survive this turn here. Do gain a life with the Inventor's Fair. -2 on Karn here. And then we just attack in, killing Nissa, because we want to make sure that we know that the River's Rebuke bounces their creatures back. But we want to make sure that Nissa does die, because that is a threat that we don't want to have to deal with. So Hydra coming back in, Elf coming back in, and Elves once again. So they're constantly building up the battlefield for us to have to deal with. We go with the +1 here and get a Gluttonous Crane. So interesting they gave us the Crane instead of the Statuary, but I'll take it. Go for the Karn here, and then immediately make a -2, or go -2, make another creature. Renegade Map for the turn. Pass turn, have lots of good blockers, and kind of holding out until a Paradoxical Outcome can get us into a Reservoir. They go Heshep Oasis, then attack in. We just double block. We think that they may think the Heshep Oasis gives them trample, but it does not. Make sure you know that. Paradoxical Outcome here, bouncing all of our artifacts, and a Gluttonous Crane. This doesn't kill the artifact creatures, keep in mind, because those are artifacts themselves, so they're still going to be really cheap as well. But this does mean we get a lot more blockers into the air as well. Super good for us. Still no Reservoir just yet, so we're kind of really bummed about that, but no problem. We do get another Ornithopter, so 3 on the battlefield. We're at 4 life, barely holding on. Anything with a trample might be deadly. We do attack in, though, with our 2 8/8s here. They go with a double block here. Those are 9/9s, I believe, not 8/8s. We have to discard. We discard a Mox Amber because we can't have multiples on the battlefield. They just have an Llanowar Elf now and pass the turn. We gain some life. We plus here. We get an island off the top thanks to the plus on Karn. Go Statuary. And just probably go with a Tutor here for the Reservoir if we want to, but we just go Prophetic Prism instead. Archon for Vraska here. Attacking in with our 3 giant creatures. That should be game. They have nothing in their hand. And that is game. And opponent just salt scooping there. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. Hope you liked the deck. If you have any suggestions, please leave your comments in the comments down below. I wanted to just keep this on mono or blue. There are a lot of deck lists going around of blue, red, and things like that. So you can definitely throw Giora in here if you want to. But I did love just the mono blue list here because I think it's very, very powerful. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. Love you all. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.